Welcome to another episode of Design Meetup 2.0, powered by IXTF Kerala and co-sponsored by Experion Technologies. I'd like for everyone who hasn't typed in yet, let us know if you're a beginner in UX or UI, or just tell us what you do. So if you're a UX designer or a UI designer, or you're a front-end developer, or we have a visual communication designer here. So please feel free to drop in a message. So to talk about today's session, so typography is so much more than just choosing beautiful fonts. It's a vital component of user interface design, and good typography will establish a strong visual hierarchy, provide a graphic balance to the website, and set the product's overall tone. So typography ideally should guide and inform your users, optimize readability and accessibility, and ensure an excellent user experience. So our speaker, Srinath Srikumar, a senior UI designer, will take us through art and tactics of arranging type, which is a beginner's guide to typography. To tell you a little about our speaker today, he has been working in UI design for more than 8 years, and he's also dabbled a bit in front-end development. He used to draw a lot in school, and that's how he decided to study animation. While studying animation, he realized that he was more interested in design, so he decided to specialize in design and then pursued a career in UI. So he's from the town Kayangulam, and I asked him what is Kayangulam known for. He said Kayangulam Kochuni, which is a popular character, that we've all probably heard. At least those of you from Kerala would have heard about. When he's not working, I asked him what he does. So he said he plays badminton, but it's been a really long time since he even saw his bat. I asked him, what do you love the most? And he just had one word, and that's design. His favorite quote is, "Have no fear of perfection, you'll never reach it," by Salvador Dali. So for the ease of a better experience, we've muted the audience mics during the session. Please put in your questions in the chat window. We do have an exclusive Q&A after the webinar where you can interact and discuss. And we will give you a recorded version of this webinar, which will be available on our YouTube channel. For those who are just joining us, welcome to Art and Tactics of Arranging Type, a Beginner's Guide to Typography by Srinath. Over to you, Srinath.
Thank you, Vandana. Thank you for your warm welcoming. And thank you, everyone, for having me here. Actually, I'm excited to be part of this webinar hosted by IXTF Kerala and co-sponsored by Experion Technologies. Actually, here I'm facing some network issues, so I'm going to turn off my video for the better presentation. While designing for UI, you have design for different screen sizes, different users with varying vision capabilities, different languages, different ages. It is important to choose the right typeface to be able to communicate clearly with your users. So 90% of the communication on an interface is conveyed through the text. So this is why it is important to know more about typography and someone who is interested in UI or UX. Personally, I love the topic, and as a UI designer, it is very important to make a decision related to typography when we start working on a new project. There is a lot of thought that goes into the decision. So let's explore the basic typography today. Typography is everywhere we look. Is it in the books we read, and the website we visit, even in everyday life, on the street signs, bumper stickers, and product packaging? But what exactly is typography? Simply put, typography is the style or appearance of text. It can also refer to the art of working with text. So it's a massive thing in a design. Typography is the art of arranging type. It's about much more than making what's legible on a page. It's about using those letters and words and forming them into layouts to get the desired visual effects that you want. Bad typography can make understanding a piece of text really, really hard. It's just a mess to the brain to take in. As a good typography will turn a piece of text into a joy, something that you really want to get stuck into that and get reading. Typeface and font. Many people talk about typeface and fonts like they are the same thing. The word typeface came into being in the early days of printing to describe characters that share common design features. Let's get this one cleared up straight away. Designers are often unsure of the difference between these two, as they are both well-used terms for the same thing. Actually, a typeface is a family of fonts, but a font is one weight or style within a typeface family. So Helvetica is a typeface with characters that share common design features. Likewise, Times New Roman is another typeface with characters that share common design features. Now, each of these typefaces includes the collection of fonts. So here I'm using the Helvetica typeface as an example. The Helvetica typeface is made up of 51 fonts. Each of these fonts has a specific weight, style, size, and effect. Helvetica Light is one font, Helvetica Regular is another, and Helvetica Bold yet another. And these are just 3 of the 51 fonts that fall under the Helvetica typeface. So think of this way, the Helvetica typeface is the family and each font is an individual member of that family. Anatomy of typeface. To select a typeface, we need to know about the anatomy of type. Let's see them one by one. Baseline. Baseline is the line of top of which all these letters sit. And x height is the height of the lowercase letter x and is usually the height of lowercase letters. While cap height is the height of an uppercase letter. Stroke. Each letter is born when you wield a brush or a pen and make few flakes. Each flakes result in a stroke. Some strokes are straight and some are curved. A main vertical stroke is called as a stem. Ascender and descender. Stroke that protrudes above the normal height of the lowercase font is called as an ascender. And that which protrudes below the baseline in a lowercase letter is called as a descender. Ascender lines and descender lines mark the boundaries up to which the ascenders and descenders can extend respectively. An arcing stroke is called a shoulder if it's found on the top, or just arc if it's found elsewhere. A closed curved stroke is called as a bow, and a trailing out stroke is called as a tail. A diagonal stroke that rests mostly on the baseline called as a leg, while a short horizontal stroke in the middle of a character is called as a bar. Bars that connect to other strokes are called as a crossbar. A long horizontal stroke at the top or bottom is called as an arm. The curved bottom of a lowercase letter is called as a loop. And very small stroke at the top is called as an ear. The dots on the top of a few lowercase letters like I and J are called titles. Apex and vertex. And the angle that two inclined strokes make is called as an apex or vertex. When the angle is formed on the top, it is called as an apex. And when it's formed at the bottom, it is called as a vertex. Therefore, the letter W has one vertex and the letter W has two vertices and one apex, and V has a one vertex. I hope you got a little idea about the anatomy of typeface. UI based on the anatomy interface we are designing while we are designing a mobile app for small screen or large screen. Anatomy is an important factor in deciding the typeface. See this. Both typefaces are sans serif, but we can see the difference. The first one is ideal. but the second is not ideal because the total anatomy is not standard, which cannot be incorporated in the UI design. So let's move to typeface classification. Depending on the whether the fonts have edges on the terminal of their strokes or not, they are classified into two types, namely serif and sans serif. Serif typefaces are called that because of the small lines attached to the end of the stroke in a letter. You can see here, I just highlighted with the pink circles. Because of their classic look, they are good choice for more traditional projects. They're also common in a print publications like magazines and newspapers. If you're reading a novel, you might notice the body text is a serif. That's because a serif is much easier to read in a long printed works due to the distinctiveness between letters. But they are considered old-fashioned for digital display because the digital display or monitor usually has a low pixel density compared to the density of dots in a printer. Therefore, the text we see on monitor are not as crisp as you would see on the print. Serif makes it harder to distinctly identify a character, especially when they are small and low resolution. The common serif types include Times New Roman, Georgia, and Garamond, something like that. What is sans serif? That is clear from that name. In French word, the sans means without. So the term sans serif literally means without serif. Just see this image. You will notice the words lack serifs as I highlighted with the pink circles. The common sans serif typeface include Arial, Vadana, and Roboto. You will see a lot of sans serif being used in a blog post and documents on the web because it feels more modern and look great, even at a lower resolution. We can see here, before a few years, some of the popular brands like Burberry, HSBC, Yahoo, Google, Pinterest, these are used serif fonts. But now they are changed to sans serif fonts to get more trendy look. Apart from these two, we also have script type fonts, decorative, and monospace fonts. Script types are a fluid stroke that resembles handwriting. They are not suitable for a large body content because they demand a lot of concentration from the user to identify what is being written. Decorative fonts. Decorative fonts, also known as display fonts, are these stylish looking fonts that appear to have ornaments or patterns to make them look more attractive. While they are also not suitable for body text containing a lot of characters. They stand out from the rest of the format text, making them a viable container for a large headings and captions over images. And monospace. Monospace fonts are another category of fonts that are the uniform width and they are uniformly spaced. You can see here the monospace and non-monospace fonts. You would normally find these fonts on your calculator and your code editors and in article where mathematical calculations and expressions are involved. When we see this screen, we will realize that each typeface has a purpose. So this is a decorative typeface and should never be included in a UI design as it will lose its purpose and the meaning of that. Kerning, tracking, leading, hierarchy, these four things are important in typography. Kerning is a space between specific characters. Unlike tracking, it varies over the course of the word because each letter fits together differently. For example, you can see here I'm using Franklin Gothic medium font to showcase the natural space you see between the two letters T. It's look like a little two snack, right? By customizing the spacing between just these two letters, you will be able to increase readability. Tracking. This is similar to kerning. Tracking deals with a modification to letter spacing. However, instead of adjusting the spacing between just two letters, tracking is an adjustment to the spacing between all letters and entire word. It can also be used to create contrast. It is commonly used along with the uppercase letters because extra space between uppercase letters can actually make the words easier to read and give them a calm and good look and feel. And one more thing, keep in mind that tracking lowercase letters should be avoided because doing so will break the structure of words and make them difficult to read. Letting is the space between the lines of type in a body text that plays a big role in the readability. In CSS, we use a similar adjustment called line height. Correctly spaced lines make it easier for a reader to follow the type and improve the overall appearance of text. I will describe more about line heights in the coming slides. Hierarchy. Hierarchy is a system for organizing type that establishes an order of importance within the data, allowing the reader to easily find what they are looking for and navigate the content. You can use different weights, styles, and sizes to create a sense of order within your text. It is used to guide the reader's eye to whatever is more important. In most cases, you want people to read the title first. That's why you will see the most titles are much bigger and bolder than the body text. The call out codes and descriptive sentence can also stand out above the rest of the text using techniques such as the bolding and italicizing. With effective hierarchy, the reader should be able to jump from one section to the next to identify the most important points. And these are the few basic methods for establishing a visual typographic hierarchy. How will we know what is important while we are using a mobile app? Look at these screens. We can understand how the hierarchy is arranged in a mobile UI according to its piece of information. How to set a text properly. A lot of designers struggle with their handling of text. We know that text is so important. It's the most important part of our website or any other designs. The way we treat our text can make a huge impact on a design. It can take something from looking like an amateur project to a professional job. Font size, line height, and line length, alignment, usage of lowercase and uppercase. Mainly, if we have a small idea of how to use these things properly, we can avoid the majority of issues while setting the text. Font size. Font sizes are usually measured in points, picers, inches, pixels, and ems and rems percentage. The paragraph text used on the web should be at least 13 pixel. The 14 to 18 pixel is the best choice for me, and it's not too big and it's comfortable to read. Actually, depending on the font, Apple recommends a 17 to 22 pixel minimum, and Google says 18 to 22 pixel. There will always be new trends for how large or small text should be maximize readability. Currently, the standard minimum size for the most font is around 16 pixel. Line spacing. I'm already said the definition of this, but I would like to explain a little more. We know line spacing is the space between two lines, line of text. Normally, line heights are 20% larger than your font size. Therefore, if your font size is 1 em or 16 pixel, then your line height is something like 1.2 em or 19.2 pixel by default. A good line height would be 1.2 to 2 times your font size, depending on whether you need the text to be moderately or loosely packed. Any value below 1.2 times the font size may make the lines appear too tight and may pose a challenge for readability. So I would like to demonstrate some basic tips for how to set the font size and line height. So I'm going to Figma. So here I am creating an artboard. And I'm going to create a paragraph. Here I need dummy text, so I am using plugin Lorem Ipsum. This is too difficult to read because of their width. I'm reducing the width. I think 600 is ideal. Obviously, that depends on the design, but here I'm add 600 and give 16 pixel. And before that, I am introducing one website, typescale.com. This website is okay. This is a website that helps you adjust the font size and line height. Okay, we can set our base size here, 16 pixel, and we can choose the font here. I'm choosing Roboto for just an example, and we can give weight here. 500 is good, and here we can see the ratio of fonts and line height. Minor second, major second, golden ratio. I think major third, this is the standard one. I'm choosing this ratio. Now I'm going to Figma. So here we can see 16 pixel is base text, and here we can go to 5 heading and 1 body text. H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and body text. And this we can use for label 12 pixel. Okay. Now in the body text, I am giving 16 pixel, and line height will be, I'm giving 120% of 16 pixel. 16 into 1.2. Actually, this is not that much. So again, I am giving 150% of 16 pixel. 16 into 1.5. I think this is an ideal line height. Okay. And this is an H1. Okay, let's go to that website. And here we can see, sorry, this is not H1, this is H5. And we can get the font size for H5 here, 20 pixel. So here I'm giving 20 pixel. And I'm change my font Roboto. Also Roboto. Maybe is the good choice. Okay. So here I'm giving line height 20 into 1.2. Okay. And create a style. H5. And duplicate this for H4. And here we can see H4 font size 25. I'm giving 25 here, 25, and line height will be 25 into 1.2, and again duplicate this for H3 and going to website. Okay, here we can 31.25. So around we get 31, and the line height will be 31 into 1.2, and duplicate this for H2. H2 we have 39.6, so we're giving 39 font size, and line height will be 39 into 1.2, 46.8. So we rounded 37, 47. So around 37. And right now I am going to duplicate this for H1. And we can see 48.83, 48. So I'm rounded 49. And 49 into 1.2, that's for 58.8. So we're leaving 59. And align properly. Okay, and create a style for this. H1, H2, H3, H4. This also is fine. Okay, now I'm typing. This the outline of these websites. I'm giving the style H1. And align properly. And reduce the width for body text. Actually, this is a basic. I'm not going for an elaborate design. So arranging fonts in this way allows you to set the exact font size and line height and you can set the hierarchy also. So, and if you make a similar style guide properly, you can keep the consistency and at the same time make it easy for them to understand when you hand over this to the developer. Okay, hope you guys are understood this. So let's move on to the next line. Next slide. Okay, line length. Line length is the horizontal distance of a block text. Long line lengths are probably one of the most common design problem on the web. The ideal line length should be between 45 and 90 characters, including spaces. The shorter lines will make a big difference in the legibility of your design, since they are more comfortable to read the longer lines. So try to keep your paragraph length between 45 to 90 characters. 66 characters per the line is widely regarded as ideal, but it's almost impossible to keep it this way when it comes to responsive website. Just try not to make your text line too short or too long. Alignment. You have almost definitely encountered the basic alignment tools. There are 4 different kinds of alignment: left aligned, right aligned, uncentered, and justified. Let's quickly run through when and where we can use this. Left aligned type is the most common from and for a good reason. It is the most easily readable and give a nice neat left edges to the text. The right align type does what it says on the tin. It aligns the type to the right. This is mostly used for a decorative purpose within branding or small pieces of type in a certain publications. So this I am not recommended for a large chunks of text, because it can be get hard for the eye to follow, and also the ragged left edge makes it slightly more difficult to find a new line. Actually, centered text definitely has a wide variety of uses, like posters, invitations, branding, and etc. Centered text makes it easy to balance out a bit of type and make for an aesthetically pleasing type arrangement. However, again, it's not recommended for a large bodies of type, as lack of a neatly aligned edges make it is difficult for the eye to move from one line to another line. And finally, we have justified type. Justified type can be deceptive. It seems like the perfect alignment, a neat left and right edge. It's in some cases, justified type is fantastic. Novels are the common example. Justified text has its issues though, mainly in terms of spacing. As you can see this, towards the end of paragraphs where there are fewer words on each line, the justified tool will often spread the type awkwardly from left to right. So this is also I am not suggesting for a body text. Contrast. Contrast is the core factor in whether or not the text is easy to read. Good contrast will make the text easy on the eyes, easy to scan quickly, and overall more readable. On the other hand, poor contrast will force the user to squint and make reading the body text almost painful. And make sure the contrast between the text and background is strong enough to be noticeable. Lowercase and uppercase. The shape of uppercase words and the lowercase words are different. Uppercase words are blocky because their letters share the same height. Lowercase words have ups and down in their outlines because some letters have ascenders or descenders. Using this difference, we can create a contrast through a letter cases. if the headings in our document are not long, we can set them all caps to make them appear differently from the paragraphs, which are dominated by lowercase letters, which means if your heading are long and involve a sentence, you might not want to make them all caps because doing so will decrease the readability. So let's refresh a few things we just discussed. The most languages are read from left to right. In this case, Arabic language, that is read from right to left. So here we have to follow the right line method. And see this. The first one is a UI that has a poor contrast, and the second one that has a proper contrast. What do you think? How difficult it is to understand the information from the first UI? Hyphens and dashes. This is nothing, but we just want to know what is hyphens and dashes. The looks similar, but they're not the same. Hyphens are the smallest of these characters. They are used to combine separate words into one single word. And they also appear to the end of the line when a word break on the next line. End dash. The end dash is using dates or numbers to show a range of values. It can also demonstrate the conflict or connection between two different words. M dash. M dash is the biggest of these marks. They are used to make a break in a sentence and break attention to thought and I suppose. So they can replace commas, parentheses, or columns. So today we spoke about typefaces and font, anatomy of typeface, classification of typeface, understanding typography, and how to set a text or type properly. Actually, I enjoyed talking about typography today, and this is very large topic, and I could only cover limited important basics today. I personally find it very interesting, especially being a UI designer. If you are an aspiring UI designer or UX designer, I think it is important to know more about typography while designing for a different screen size, different languages, and to make sure we adhere to accessibility by prioritizing readability. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing us an interesting session, and that has sparked quite a bit of discussions. I'd like to thank each and everyone who took their valuable time from a busy day on a Tuesday to attend this webinar. A special thanks to all the participants who actively participated in the Q&A session. Thank you, Nitish, Yadu, Susmi, Avaishag, Syed, Ajit, Hemant, Sharif, and many more names in the chat that I may have missed. And please do join us again. We have an upcoming session planned for September 14th. I think the session is still in planning, and it is probably on branding. So hope to see you all once again, and we'll upload the recording of this session on YouTube. Thank you for joining us again. Have a great day. Thank you.